YouTube. Welcome to rural Indiana. Kind of the middle of nowhere, but a serene drive as I'm working my way northward towards my delivery tomorrow morning and then home. But as always, the news never stops, and neither does the world of logistics. All they both do is hit speed bumps. And in the article of logistics, a couple of speed bumps that are, let's be real here, they're relatively minor. But in general, they are concerning and worthy of note. Now, the Mother Trucker News YouTube channel has the best takes on these two stories. He's got the inside line. If you're looking for the raw details, he's the guy to go check out. Mother Trucker News. You know him, you love him. If you're not following him, you should be, especially as a trucker. But for me, I'm looking at these two bits as signs of the times to a certain extent. First up is what happened either today, I think it was, or perhaps announced yesterday, maybe a couple of days now. Smokey Bear is going for somebody. That is that Arnold Transport has shut down. 340 truck drivers lost their jobs, and the 92-year-old carrier is now going through bankruptcy proceedings. Now, they're out of Texas, and Texas is a tough market right now, so it's not surprising that a company in Texas is going to be folding it up, because Texas is tough. Unless you've got a cross-border freight contract, or you're in good with the rail yards or the ports, you're not having fun in Texas. That's the general consensus I've been able to draw, because getting into Texas, sometimes even that's hard. Getting into Texas is difficult, even doing JB Hunt power only. And getting out of Texas with a decent rate is just about impossible. And I've talked about that in previous videos, but staying on topic here, while the shutdown of Arnold Transportation is not exactly earth-shattering, it is a continuation of capacity right-sizing. It's just unfortunate that an old legacy company is a casualty of the times we find ourselves in. In other news, this is all out west. This is in California, so this shouldn't be too surprising that this would be one of the first areas to experience this. But JB Hunt has laid off or reassigned over 200 truck drivers due to the loss of the 99-cent store account, and that company entered bankruptcy and shut down operations. So because they lost that retail account, most of the drivers on that account were let go, according to what Mother Trucker News relayed. A handful were reassigned to other accounts, which is good, but the vast majority, it seems, and again, because I don't have the full download, it seems the vast majority were let go. Now, JB Hunt is, as all mega carriers are, they're loath to lose any talent they can possibly keep. So it stands to reason that those drivers who were laid off will be among the first who get called up for any new openings that appear in any other account or any other division of JB Hunt in which those drivers might be qualified for, whether it's intermodal or some kind of local delivery setup or another OTR account, or even just straight OTR 48 state. There's a whole lot of... JB Hunt's a huge carrier. They're one of the top 3 biggest in the nation, as far as I understand, about the top biggest carrier in the nation. So they're going to find a place to put their drivers wherever they possibly can to keep those guys moving, which I have to say I applaud them for doing that. If I was a JB Hunt company guy, I'd be thankful for that kind of security, that kind of investment in my ability to drive a truck as well. But then again, it is California, and the California market's going to get a lot tougher before it gets better, especially for the folks who base out of there. Freight's going to get tight depending on how you look at it. Rates are going to continue to be tight, along with margins, just because fuel is expensive, so margins in California regulatory hurdles that California seems to have a fetish for setting up for truckers and trucking companies, which is why California is on my permanent no-drive list, and will remain there until California can figure out how not to be anti-trucker and anti-business and, want to actually be a part of the union instead of their own special little world. But why I'm talking about these two stories is, while these two elements of jobs lost, which tallies about 600, give or take, it's not exactly earth-shattering, but it does signify, for the first time in terms of mega carriers, that a tightening in the mega carrier job market, the driver availability, or the seat availability, more accurately, the seat availability at mega carriers, this could be the sign of the times that could really indicate that a true contraction in capacity is on the horizon, because mega carriers are always hiring drivers depending on what region of the country you're in. I mean, if you're in the eastern states, Midwest, South, some of the mountain states even, you're going to be able to find a seat, find the truck, find something to drive, and get rolling, start making some money, or at least start earning money. West Coast now seems to be the very first market that's going to be shedding more jobs, potentially. I say this potentially because I am speculating heavily here. This is heavy speculation, so please don't take what I'm saying as like, this man knows what he was talking about. No, I'm speculating. I want to make sure it's clear. But as I speculate, the West Coast states could be the first states that begin to shed mega carrier driving positions in large numbers as accounts tighten up or shut down, or as different operations have to get tightened up because the availability of freight no longer justifies how many trucks are being dedicated to a given account or a given port or a given region of the country or even this particular state. And a lot of those jobs will end up either disappearing, being placed on hold, or they'll be shuffled around to other places to keep those drivers going so that J.B. Hunt and Werner and whoever else don't lose their talent pools. So it is entirely possible that that little blurb out of California with J.B. Hunt for their discount store account, and also I think that some of the jobs lost were also in a port contract for Amazon. Those two blurbs could signify the very beginning, potentially, of a greater contraction in mega carrier seat availability. The real bellwethers, in my opinion and my speculation, will be when or if capacity tightening or seat availability begins to be an issue in more than just West Coast markets. And things start getting real tight in the South, Texas, Louisiana, Alabama, Georgia, Florida, or the Northeast. You look at New York, Massachusetts, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and especially in the Midwest, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, Missouri, Tennessee. Well, Tennessee's more of the South anyway. We'll leave Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio as like the true, I guess you could say, freight markets of the Midwest. And that's not accurate, but I'm just using it as an example. If seats start tightening up in those markets, and if mega carriers start getting a lot more choosy about who they hire in general, that's going to signify that the true capacity crunch is underway all the way across the board. Because as it stands right now, again, my opinion and also my experience a little bit here is, if I wanted to re-sign with Werner, like tomorrow, just, hey, Werner, I want to come back and be a company driver and just do, Dollar General or whatever, almost a guarantee I probably would get into a seat pretty quick, within a couple of weeks. If I was willing to shut down my authority and park my truck, or just wash my hands of the entire owner-operator gig as a whole. Or if I wanted to say to Werner, hey, Werner, I want to come back and be an owner-operator under your operating authority. I want to, stop doing my own thing. I want to be an owner-operator for Werner again. The odds are good direction, both in terms of rates and also potentially fuel prices as well, because fuel, I would contend, is overpriced and rates are way lower than they should be. But at the same time, competition, even for crap loads, is through the roof in certain markets like Texas. So when we start seeing more contraction in the big carriers, then we know it's time to really worry, especially as individual owner operators. That's when it's going to be really the biggest indicator of the truly tough times on the horizon. So again, this is my speculation. What I'm spitballing on may not happen. I hope it doesn't. I hope instead we get a turnaround and we can all get a bigger piece of the pie. But at the same time, the purchasing trends, the manufacturing trends, and the way things are right now, and how things are progressing, so to speak, and how things are turning, and what people are seeing in terms of productivity and manufacturing numbers, and their speculation, the general outlook is not good, and it's still, we have either some time to spend at the bottom, or we may not even truly have reached bottom yet. We may have a little bit further down to go, so time will tell. But even so, we just got to do our best to stay strong, find our little ways to be encouraged, keep on trucking. That being said, YouTube, hopefully it didn't scare you too much. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you down the road.